The curiosity. The transport ship hummed as it floated above the alien research station. A young human named Daniel stepped out, his boots touching the cold silver floor. He had been assigned as a technician. Nothing special, just another human worker among many alien races. But Daniel did not know that his life was about to change forever. The station was alive with different species. Some had glowing skin, others had long tails, and some had eyes that reflected the stars. Among them was one alien girl who stood out. She was tall, with shimmering blue skin and glowing lines that moved gently across her arms. Her hair looked like silver threads falling over her shoulders, and her eyes, bright violet, almost too intense, always stared with curiosity. Her name was Liara. She was young for her kind, maybe equal to a human in her early 20s. She was known for asking too many questions, even among her own people. When she first saw Daniel, her eyes lit up with a strange interest. Humans were rare here, and she had never spoken to one so closely. Daniel was unpacking his tools when she approached. "You are human," she said in her melodic voice. It was not a question, more like a statement filled with wonder. Daniel gave a small smile and nodded. "Yeah, I'm human. Name's Daniel." Liara tilted her head, studying him like a puzzle. "Human, I have many questions," she said. Her words made Daniel laugh nervously. He had been warned about her curiosity, but he did not expect her to focus only on him. For the first few days, Liara followed him quietly, asking simple things about human food, human music, human sleep. Daniel answered with patience, sometimes amused, sometimes a little uncomfortable. But then came the day when her questions changed. It started in the mess hall. Daniel was eating with a few other humans. Their voices were low, but Liara's sharp ears caught words she did not understand. They joked about marriage, children, and human ways of reproduction. The aliens around ignored it, but Liara's mind locked onto one thing. Humans reproduce differently. But how? Later, when the hall was empty, she found Daniel cleaning his tools. She leaned closer than usual, her glowing eyes unblinking. "Human Daniel," she whispered. "Is it true that humans reproduce in a strange way?" Daniel almost dropped the tool. His face turned red. He tried to play it off. "Oh, what do you mean by strange?" he asked carefully. Liara's voice was soft but firm. "I heard humans do something to reproduce. Do they really do that?" Her words carried innocence, but her tone made Daniel's heart race. He coughed, trying to change the subject. "That's not really something we talk about openly," he muttered, but Liara only leaned closer, her eyes glowing brighter. "But I want to understand, how can your kind exist if you do not share this knowledge?" Daniel felt trapped. This alien girl was not joking. Her culture treated reproduction as a sacred process, done with rituals and great preparation. But humans, well, humans did it in a very different way. He could feel sweat on his forehead. He tried to walk away, but Liara followed, her steps silent yet determined. "Tell me, Daniel," she insisted. "Do humans really do that? I must know." That night, Daniel could not sleep. The image of her glowing violet eyes burned in his thoughts. He told himself she was only curious, like a scientist studying a new species. But deep inside, he felt something else in her voice. Something personal, something dangerous. The next day, Liara cornered him again in the corridor. "Human Daniel," she said with a serious face. "You must tell me. Do not hide it," Daniel sighed. "Liara, it's complicated, it's private." But Liara did not blink. "Nothing is private when it is about survival," she replied. "My people study everything. We understand the stars, the elements, the body, but this human way of life, it is different. I want to see it. I want to know it." Daniel froze. Her words felt heavier this time. Her curiosity was not simple anymore. It had turned into something sharper, almost like a challenge. He realized this was no longer a question. It was the beginning of something bigger, something he was not ready for. And yet, deep inside, a dangerous thought whispered. What if she really meant it? The hum of the station echoed around them, the stars outside shining through the glass walls. Liara's violet eyes locked onto his, glowing softly like fire in the dark. Her final words that night sent shivers down his spine. "Humans do that to reproduce," she whispered, her voice low but certain. Then I want to try. The insistence. The station never slept. Lights glowed in every corridor, machines hummed, and voices of different species mixed together like an endless storm. But Daniel could only think of one thing: the alien girl Liara and her strange request. He tried to avoid her the next day. He walked faster through the halls, stayed longer in the workshop, and even ate alone in a corner of the mess hall. But no matter where he went, Liara was there. She did not hide. She did not hesitate. She followed him like a shadow. Daniel, her melodic voice called again and again. You must answer me. Daniel groaned quietly to himself. He had hoped she would forget, that her curiosity was just a passing spark. But Liara was not like that. She was different from the others of her kind. She was bold, stubborn, and once she had a question, she never let go. In the workshop, Daniel bent over a broken panel, sparks flying as he tried to fix the wires. Liara leaned against the wall, her glowing eyes fixed on him. "Why do you hide it from me?" she asked. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with determination. Daniel sighed. "Because it's private," he muttered. "Humans don't just tell anyone about it." Liara tilted her head, her silver hair sliding over her shoulder. "Private?" she repeated. "Strange. Humans share food, air, even space. Why keep this secret?" Daniel looked up at her, his patience thinning. "Because it's not something you just experiment with," he said firmly. But Liara only smiled faintly, the kind of smile that meant she did not accept his answer. "Everything can be studied, Daniel," she said. "Everything can be understood. I will not stop asking." That night, Daniel walked down the quiet corridor, trying to relax. The stars outside glittered against the black void of space. He thought maybe she had grown tired. Maybe she would finally let it go. But then he heard the soft sound of her steps behind him. "Daniel," she whispered, almost like a secret. "Why do you resist me?" He turned, startled. Her glowing lines shimmered in the dim light. Her violet eyes locked onto his face with intensity. Daniel swallowed hard. "Because it's not what you think, Liara. It's not like your rituals. It's personal. It means something to us." Liara took one slow step closer. "Then teach me," she said softly. "If it means something to humans, I must learn. I want to feel it. I want to know." Daniel's heart pounded. He could feel the tension building. It wasn't just a question anymore. It was a demand. The next day, rumors began to spread among the alien crew. They noticed how Liara kept chasing Daniel, how her glowing eyes followed only him. Some laughed, whispering that Liara had chosen her human. Others shook their heads, saying it was dangerous to cross species like that. Daniel felt the pressure of their stares. Everywhere he went, he could feel whispers at his back, and Liara didn't help. She spoke openly now, not hiding her obsession. In the hydroponics bay, where plants grew under artificial suns, she cornered him again. "Daniel, I watch the vines," she said, pointing a plant that wrapped its roots around another. "Even here, life joins. One part clings to the other. Is that not what humans do?" Daniel rubbed his temples. "Liara, please," he muttered, but her face was serious. "You cannot deny me forever." "Daniel, I will find the truth." Later, during a system check, Liara followed him onto the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly around them. Her voice was low but sharp. "If you do not tell me, I will ask the others. I will ask every human until I know." Daniel froze, his chest tightened. The thought of her walking around the crew, asking such questions, made him panic. "No," he said quickly. "Don't do that, please, Liara." She stepped closer, her voice barely a whisper. "Then tell me yourself. Daniel, tell me how humans reproduce. Tell me why it is hidden." His breath caught. Her glowing skin reflected the starlight. Her eyes burned into his soul. For the first time, Daniel felt trapped in a way he could not escape. That night, he couldn't sleep again. Her words echoed in his mind, her voice haunting him. She wasn't just curious anymore. She was insistent, unstoppable. Her determination was like a force pressing on him. When morning came, he saw her waiting by the workshop door. She didn't speak at first. She only looked at him. Then slowly, she said the words that made his blood run cold. "Humans do that to reproduce," she whispered. "Then I will learn it. I will try it. Even if you resist, Daniel, I insist. Daniel's eyes widened. His heart raced. He realized now. This was no longer curiosity. This was a promise. And Liara was not the kind of girl who ever broke her promises. The forbidden experiment. The station lights flickered softly as Daniel walked through the narrow corridor. He tried to keep his thoughts calm, but his mind was burning with Liara's last words. She had insisted. She had promised she would not stop until she knew the truth about humans. For days, Daniel avoided her questions. He gave half answers. He changed the subject. But Liara only grew more determined. Her glowing eyes followed him everywhere. Sometimes, when no one was around, she would whisper, "Show me, Daniel." And his heart would race with both fear and something he could not name. It was late one cycle when the moment finally came. The research lab was empty, humming only with machines. Daniel was checking a panel when the doors slid shut behind him. He turned quickly and froze. Liara stood there, her silver hair falling over her glowing skin, her violet eyes fixed on him like a predator watching its prey. "Daniel," she said quietly, "no more hiding." He stepped back, his chest tightening. "Liara, please, you don't understand." She tilted her head, her glowing lines shifting across her arms. "Then make me understand," she whispered. Her voice was soft, but there was power in it. "My people study stars, metals, the ways of life, but humans, you are different. You protect, you fight, you risk your life for each other. And now I know you also reproduce in a way my people do not. I must see it, I must try it." Daniel felt the walls closing in. He gripped his tools tighter, his voice shaking. "It doesn't work that way, Liara. You can't just experiment with this. It's not like testing machines or plants. It's intimate, personal. It's about trust, about choice." But Liara only stepped closer, the glow on her skin pulsing gently like a heartbeat. "Trust," she repeated. "Then trust me, Daniel. I am not afraid." "Why are you?" His heart pounded. He could feel her presence like heat pressing against him. Every word she spoke was sharper, heavier, more insistent. He wanted to run, but his feet would not move. The machines in the lab buzzed quietly, a strange background to the tension in the air. Liara raised her hand and touched the edge of his tool belt. "You hide behind work, behind wires and panels," she said softly. "But you cannot hide from me forever." Daniel swallowed hard. His mind screamed for control, but his body betrayed him with shivers. "Liara, if your people knew you were saying this, they'd—" He stopped, afraid to finish. "They would not stop me," she interrupted quickly. "I am free to study what I wish, and right now, I wish to study you." Her voice was no longer playful. It was firm, dangerous even. She was not asking anymore. She was declaring her intention. Daniel tried again, his voice low. "Liara, this could destroy both of us if someone finds out." Her eyes narrowed, glowing brighter. "Then no one will find out," she whispered. "This will be ours, a secret experiment, human and alien, bound by knowledge." The words sent a chill down Daniel's spine. For a moment, silence filled the lab. The hum of the machines, the distant echo of footsteps outside, but inside the room, only her eyes and his heartbeat existed. Liara moved closer until she stood only inches away. "You fear what will happen," she said, "but I fear not knowing, Daniel. I fear ignorance. My people tell stories of humans, brave, reckless, full of passion. I want to see if those stories are true." Daniel's throat felt dry. He had never faced pressure like this. Not even in battle. It wasn't a gun to his head. It wasn't an alien monster. It was a single girl, stubborn, glowing, and determined to break his defenses. For the first time, he saw the danger clearly. This was no longer innocent curiosity. Liara had turned her interest into a forbidden obsession, and he was the target. "Liara," he whispered, his voice shaking. "This is not just science. This is dangerous. You don't understand what you're asking." But she only leaned closer, her breath warm, her eyes unblinking. "Then make me understand," she said. "Show me, Daniel. Show me how humans reproduce. Show me why you keep it hidden." The weight of her words filled the lab. Daniel felt trapped, his chest heavy, his mind racing. He wanted to push her away, but he could not. He wanted to explain, but words failed him. And then, with a soft, almost daring smile, Liara whispered the words that sealed his fate. "If you will not tell me," she said, "I will find another way. I will make the experiment myself." Daniel's eyes widened. The danger was no longer in her questions. It was in her determination. Her voice carried a promise, and Daniel knew. This was not the end. It was only the beginning of something forbidden, something unstoppable. A human's dilemma. Daniel walked the corridors of the station with heavy steps. The hum of engines, the glow of lights, the chatter of alien voices, all of it felt distant. His mind was trapped, circling around one thought. Liara, she had crossed a line. Her curiosity was no longer harmless. She had spoken of making the experiment herself, and Daniel knew she meant every word. She was bold, stubborn, and fearless in a way that both frightened and fascinated him. He could not forget her glowing violet eyes. The way they locked onto his like chains he could not break. For the first time, Daniel felt afraid not of war, not of death, but of a single girl's obsession. He sat alone in the mess hall, staring at his untouched meal. Other humans laughed and talked around him, but Daniel's ears caught something else. The whispers the aliens were noticing. They spoke in hushed tones about Liara's strange attention toward him. Some called it amusing, others called it dangerous. "Did you hear?" one alien murmured behind him. "Liara follows the human everywhere. She watches him like he belongs to her." Daniel's hands tightened into fists. He wanted to shout, to deny it, but deep inside he knew it was true. That evening, Liara found him again. She moved silently, like a shadow in the corridor. "Daniel," she said softly, "why do you run from me?" He stopped, his chest tight. "Because this is wrong, Liara," he whispered. "You don't understand what you're asking. It could ruin us both." Her eyes glowed brighter, unyielding. "Ruin," she repeated. "Knowledge cannot ruin. Daniel, it can only reveal. If your kind survives through this way, then I must know, I must experience it." Daniel shook his head. "It's not just survival," he said, his voice low. It's about more than that. It's about family, trust, love. It's not something you can just test in a lab." Liara stepped closer, her silver hair catching the light. "Then show me love," she whispered. "Show me what it means to humans. Teach me. Daniel, if you fear, I will not." His heart pounded. He felt trapped between two worlds, his human morals and her alien insistence. If he refused, she might push harder. If he agreed, he risked everything. His duty, his reputation, even his life. That night, Daniel sat in his quarters, the small room feeling like a cage. He thought of Earth, of the lessons his parents taught him. He thought of honor, of respect. And then he thought of Liara, her glowing skin, her determined eyes, her voice that echoed in his head like a song he could not silence. He closed his eyes, whispering to himself, "What am I supposed to do?" The next cycle, the pressure grew worse. Other aliens looked at him differently. Some smiled knowingly. Others frowned. A group of humans even asked him directly, "What's going on with you and Liara?" Daniel avoided the question, but inside, panic burned. If rumors reached the wrong ears, if the command staff learned of this, what would happen? Would he be removed? Would Liara be punished? Later, in the hydroponics bay, Liara appeared again. She stood between the tall alien plants, their glowing leaves reflecting on her skin. "Daniel," she said firmly, "I cannot wait longer. I need the truth. If you will not give it freely, I will take it." His blood went cold. He stared at her, trying to find the right words. "Liara, listen to me. This is not just about science. This is about us, you and me. If we cross this line, nothing will be the same again." But her smile was soft, almost innocent. "Then let nothing be the same," she whispered. "I choose this path, Daniel. Do you?" Daniel's heart twisted. He wanted to scream, to run. But instead he stood frozen, torn apart by two impossible choices. If he denied her, she would never stop. Her obsession would grow. Her questions would spread. The whole station would know. And if he agreed, if he gave in, then he would be bound to her in ways he could not escape. The air felt heavy. The plants around them swayed as if holding their breath. Liara stepped closer, her hand brushing against his. The touch was electric. Her voice was soft but commanding. "Do not fear. Daniel, humans are known for their courage. Show me yours. Daniel's chest rose and fell, his breath uneven. This was his dilemma, the hardest choice of his life, not life or death, not victory or defeat, but something far more dangerous. For in Liara's glowing eyes, he saw a promise. If he said no, she would not stop. If he said yes, he would belong to her. And deep down, Daniel realized something terrifying. Either way, his life was no longer his own. The human's dilemma. Daniel walked the corridors of the station with heavy steps. The hum of engines, the glow of lights, the chatter of alien voices, all of it felt distant. His mind was trapped, circling around one thought. Liara, she had crossed a line. Her curiosity was no longer harmless. She had spoken of making the experiment herself. And Daniel knew she meant every word. She was bold, stubborn, and fearless in a way that both frightened and fascinated him. He could not forget her glowing violet eyes. The way they locked onto his like chains he could not break. For the first time, Daniel felt afraid not of war, not of death, but of a single girl's obsession. He sat alone in the mess hall, staring at his untouched meal. Other humans laughed and talked around him, but Daniel's ears caught something else. The whispers the aliens were noticing. They spoke in hushed tones about Liara's strange attention toward him. Some called it amusing, others called it dangerous. "Did you hear?" One alien murmured behind him. "Liara follows the human everywhere. She watches him like he belongs to her." Daniel's hands tightened into fists. He wanted to shout, to deny it, but deep inside he knew it was true. That evening, Liara found him again. She moved silently, like a shadow in the corridor. "Daniel," she said softly, "why do you run from me?" He stopped, his chest tight. "Because this is wrong, Liara." He whispered, "You don't understand what you're asking. It could ruin us both." Her eyes glowed brighter, unyielding. "Ruin," she repeated. "Knowledge cannot ruin. Daniel, it can only reveal. If your kind survives through this way, then I must know, I must experience it." Daniel shook his head. "It's not just survival," he said, his voice low. It's about more than that. It's about family, trust, love. It's not something you could just test in a lab." Liara stepped closer, her silver hair catching the light. "Then show me love," she whispered. "Show me what it means to humans. Teach me, Daniel. If you fear, I will not." His heart pounded. He felt trapped between two worlds, his human morals and her alien insistence. If he refused, she might push harder. If he agreed, he risked everything. His duty, his reputation, even his life. That night, Daniel sat in his quarters, the small room feeling like a cage. He thought of Earth, of the lessons his parents taught him. He thought of honor, of respect. And then he thought of Liara, her glowing skin, her determined eyes, her voice that echoed in his head like a song he could not silence. He closed his eyes, whispering to himself, "What am I supposed to do?" The next cycle, the pressure grew worse. Other aliens looked at him differently. Some smiled knowingly, others frowned. A group of humans even asked him directly, "What's going on with you and Liara?" Daniel avoided the question, but inside, panic burned. If rumors reached the wrong ears, if the command staff learned of this, what would happen? Would he be removed? Would Liara be punished? Later, in the hydroponics bay, Liara appeared again. She stood between the tall alien plants, their glowing leaves reflecting on her skin. "Daniel," she said firmly, "I cannot wait longer. I need the truth. If you will not give it freely, I will take it." His blood went cold. He stared at her, trying to find the right words. "Liara, listen to me. This is not just about science. This is about us, you and me. If we cross this line, nothing will be the same again." But her smile was soft, almost innocent. "Then let nothing be the same," she whispered. "I choose this path, Daniel. Do you?" Daniel's heart twisted. He wanted to scream, to run. But instead he stood frozen, torn apart by two impossible choices. If he denied her, she would never stop. Her obsession would grow. Her questions would spread. The whole station would know. And if he agreed, if he gave in, then he would be bound to her in ways he could not escape. The air felt heavy. The plants around them swayed as if holding their breath. Liara stepped closer, her hand brushing against his. The touch was electric. Her voice was soft but commanding. Do not fear, Daniel. Humans are known for their courage. Show me yours. Daniel's chest rose and fell, his breath uneven. This was his dilemma. The hardest choice of his life. Not life or death, not victory or defeat, but something far more dangerous. For in Liara's glowing eyes, he saw a promise. If he said no, she would not stop. If he said yes, he would belong to her. And deep down, Daniel realized something terrifying. Either way, his life was no longer his own. The breaking point. The station had returned to its normal rhythm. But for Daniel, nothing felt normal. The asteroid storm had passed. Repairs were done. Yet whispers followed him through every corridor. He could feel the eyes of the crew, alien and human alike, watching him with curiosity, suspicion, even amusement. But the loudest voice was not theirs. It was Liara's. She no longer asked in private. She no longer whispered in dark corridors. Now, she spoke with confidence, her glowing violet eyes burning with determination. Daniel's heart sank every time she appeared, because he knew she was about to make things worse. It happened first in the mess hall. Dozens of crew members sat eating, their voices mixing in the air. Daniel sat alone at a corner table, hoping to escape notice. But then Liara walked in, her glowing skin shimmering in the light. She did not hesitate. She walked straight to him. "Daniel," she said, loud enough for all to hear, "I must speak." He froze. Every head in the hall turned toward them. The chatter died instantly. Liara stood tall, her silver hair cascading down her back. Her voice was clear and unshaken. "I have chosen," she announced. "I wish to reproduce in the human way, and I have chosen Daniel as my partner." The hall erupted. Gasps, laughter, and shocked murmurs filled the room. Aliens exchanged stunned glances. Humans stared wide-eyed. A few whispered to each other, some mocking, some serious. Daniel felt his blood turn to ice. He stood quickly, his voice trembling. "Liara, stop," he said, his face pale. "You don't know what you're saying." But Liara's eyes locked on him, fierce and unblinking. "I know exactly what I say," she declared. "Humans reproduce with passion, with courage. They risk for each other. Daniel has already proven this. He protected me. He saved me. That is proof enough." The crowd murmured louder. Some aliens laughed openly. Others looked scandalized. A human officer at the far table frowned deeply, scribbling notes into a datapad. Daniel's chest tightened. He reached for Liara's arm, trying to pull her aside, but she shook him off, her glowing markings flaring brighter. "Do not silence me, Daniel," she said sharply. "You hide your truth, but I will not. I demand this knowledge. I demand this bond." The hall buzzed with chaos. Daniel felt trapped. His mind raced for a way to end this without disaster. "Liara, please," he whispered, his voice desperate now. "This isn't the way. You can't just announce this. People will think. They will think the truth." She cut him off, her voice ringing with pride. That a human and an alien can join, that boundaries can be broken, that knowledge can be shared. The silence that followed was heavy. Some aliens nodded slowly, intrigued. Others shook their heads in disapproval. A few humans muttered angrily, calling it dangerous. Daniel felt the weight of every stare. He could not breathe. His dilemma had grown into a storm he could no longer control. Later, in the commander's office, Daniel stood stiffly as questions rained down. The officer demanded answers. "What is going on with you? And Liara? Why is she saying these things?" Daniel stammered, I never encouraged it, sir. She misunderstood. She won't stop." The officer frowned. "Misunderstand or not, it's becoming a problem. Humans and aliens working together is one thing, but what she declared, it could cause chaos. You must put an end to it. Immediately." Daniel nodded weakly, but inside, he felt powerless. How could he stop someone like Liara? She was relentless, fearless, and now she had made her obsession public. That night, Daniel found her in the observation deck, staring at the stars. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "You are angry," she said without turning. Daniel's jaw tightened. "You humiliated me," he snapped. "You told everyone. Do you understand what you've done? Liara turned slowly, her glowing eyes soft but unyielding. I told the truth, she said. I am not ashamed, are you? His breath caught. Her words cut deeper than he wanted to admit. He wanted to scream at her, to demand she take it back, but something in her eyes stopped him. They weren't mocking or playful. They were sincere, almost vulnerable. I chose you, Daniel, she whispered, stepping closer. And I will not take it back. Not before the crew, not before the stars, not even before your own fear. Daniel's chest ached. He felt torn in half. His duty screamed at him to end this, to push her away, but another voice, deep inside, whispered something far more dangerous. What if she was right? For the first time, Daniel realized the truth. The danger wasn't just her obsession. It was the part of him that no longer wanted to resist. The twist ending. The station felt different after Liara's declaration. Every corridor, every room, every glance carried the weight of her words. Daniel walked with his head low, feeling the stares, the whispers, the judgment pressing against him like invisible chains. He tried to convince himself it was just noise, that it would fade with time. But Liara had changed everything. She had spoken the forbidden out loud, and once spoken, it could not be erased. Days passed. Daniel worked harder than ever, throwing himself into repairs and maintenance, trying to bury his thoughts under wires and tools. But no matter how hard he worked, Liara was always there, watching, waiting, her glowing violet eyes following him like a flame in the dark. He avoided her when he could, but one night, on the quiet observation deck, she appeared once more. The stars stretched endlessly outside, glittering like shards of glass across the black void. Liara stood with her silver hair shining in the starlight, her skin glowing faintly. Daniel, she said softly, you still run from me. He clenched his fists, his chest heavy. Because you don't understand what you've done, he muttered. You've put me in danger. You've put yourself in danger. Liara turned, her violet eyes locking onto his. Danger is nothing, she said calmly. Ignorance is worse. And I will not live in ignorance. Daniel groaned, his voice cracking. It's not just knowledge, Liara. It's more than that. Humans don't reproduce like a test or a study. It's about family, about bond, about love. She tilted her head, her glowing lines pulsing gently. Then, teach me love, she whispered. Show me what it means. Show me why humans hold it sacred. Let me feel it, Daniel. His heart pounded. He wanted to resist, to shout, but her voice was soft, almost fragile. For the first time, he saw something new in her. She wasn't only stubborn, she was longing. She truly wanted to understand, not only as an experiment, but as a choice. Daniel's silence stretched, the stars outside gleamed, his breath heavy. At last, he whispered, love is not just doing something, it is protecting, it is choosing, it is holding someone and never letting go, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. Liara stepped closer, her eyes shimmering. Then you have already shown me love, she said softly. You saved me in the storm. You stood by me even when the others whispered. You could have turned away, but you did not. That is love, Daniel, and I accept it. Daniel froze, his chest ached, his mind screamed in denial, but his heart trembled at her words, because deep inside he knew she wasn't wrong. Before he could answer, the door slid open. Several officers walked in, human and alien, their faces stern. The commander stepped forward. Daniel, Liara, this has gone far enough, he said firmly. Your behavior is causing division among the crew. This ends tonight. Daniel's blood ran cold. He opened his mouth to speak, but Liara raised her hand. Her violet eyes blazed brighter than ever. No, she declared, her voice echoing through the chamber. It does not end, it begins. Gasps filled the room. The officers froze as Liara stepped beside Daniel, her glowing skin touching his arm. She lifted her chin proudly. I have chosen, she said. He is mine, and I am his. That is the truth, whether you accept it or not. Daniel's heart thundered. He wanted to pull away, but her grip was firm, and something in her words struck deep. The crew whispered, some horrified, some strangely moved. The commander's voice was sharp. Liara, you break protocol. Daniel, you risk everything. Daniel swallowed, his voice trembling. Maybe I do, he whispered, but maybe some things are worth the risk. Silence fell. Every eye in the room locked on him. His words hung heavy in the air. Liara smiled faintly, her violet eyes softening. She leaned closer, her voice low enough only for him. Then it is done, she whispered. You have chosen me, and I will never let you go. For the first time, Daniel did not argue. He did not run. He simply stood there, his fate sealed. The crew dispersed slowly, muttering, confused, but Daniel knew the truth. This was only the beginning. He had crossed the line, and now, no matter what the future held, he and Liara were bound. As the stars burned outside the glass, Liara's final words echoed in his heart, a promise that both thrilled and terrified him. Humans do that to reproduce, she whispered again, her voice like fire. But with you, Daniel, I will learn what it means to love.